What's going on, guys? Steve from the Midmasters here, and this is part 2 of building a swing gate tire carrier using your stock bumper. Alright guys, here we are, all welded up. So it comes up to here. Now the next part, see, nice, swing it out nice and easy. So the next part is welding this piece that comes off, and that's where that mounting plate will be for the tire. Now, as you can see, with tube steel, you have an open end, and there's a couple ways you can do that. That flat piece of steel, I don't know, on the table over here, that you use to make this reinforcement plate, you can cut a little square and weld it to the top. Or when you take this and you cut it to fit here, you can actually just extend a little piece out, right? And that will do it. Now, in this case, it's probably more work to do that. So, I mean, depending on which end you decide to cut, you may just be better off capping it and just, you know, doing it that way. But at least if you cut it so that this top piece extends over, you get one continuous run and it will look good. But anyway, so next step, weld that piece in. Make sure you check how far off you want the tire to sit from this. You want it close enough so it doesn't, so it looks good, but not that it's tight. All right, guys, so here we are. Got on my welding table. I was just finishing up. As you can see, oh, nicely welded on there. Oh yeah. Okay, so the next step is to measure how far out you want this to stick. So basically what I did is I turned the tire over and I put the flange piece right here, and then I put a piece of that tube up, and then I laid a piece of steel right across the tire here and marked it. Came about 5.5 inches. I'm gonna do 6, just so I have just a little extra wiggle room, you know, just in case the tire wants to move around. And so what I'm gonna do is take that measurement, come over here, boom, mark it, and then that's what I'll cut, and I'll weld the flange on there, which is right here. So for imaginative purposes, this is actually what it should be finished. Now, I'm debating whether or not I want to do like a little cross piece, but structurally, I may not actually need it. That might just be too much weight. So I'm going to cut this, put that together, and maybe throw it back on there. All right, guys, here we are. So I've taken the liberty of not only cutting it, but actually welding on the flange that your tire bolts onto. As you can see, this is like so cool. We're just letting it swing out. Just watch it. So, like I said, I cut it so it stuck out 6 inches past here, and that should give me about a 1/2 inch before the tire actually starts hitting the pole here. So essentially, this is it. There's only 2 more things that need to be done. I need to go run to an auto parts store and pick up 3 lugs, because that's how this one works as far as spare tires go. So you will need to mount this with lug nuts and such. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's just how it is. I know other vehicles, it's like one single latch thing that you screw down. And hey, you know what? If I want to do that, I can always weld a threaded stud straight out here, because I'm pretty sure that's how a Bronco works. It's one big center thing that holds it on there. But I feel pretty good about just doing the studs. The other thing I'll have to figure out once the tire's on there is where to put the latch. Like I said, I'm throwing around the idea of doing something that just sticks straight down into the bumper. Of course, that comes with that really cool latch there, and that latch can be tightened over time if this thing gets sloppy or whatever. Hopefully it doesn't. But yeah. All right, guys. So I know this is kind of a teaser, an early preview, but that's kind of what it looks like when it's mounted up. Okay, but I need to put it on there just so we can get this part going. So behind here is where we're going to have the latch. So yes, in order to unhook this, you'll have to reach behind and pull up the latch, which again, I don't really mind. But you're just gonna take this and you're gonna look down, and you're just gonna pretty much line it up where you want it and make a mark. And that's where we're gonna cut the tube steel and weld this on the end. So put it there, make your mark, cut, and then we'll get ready to weld this bad boy on there. All right, guys, here we are. I have the beam cut and I have the cap on it. Now it's time to put the latch. So in this case, you can see this sticks up about 1/2 inch. So then what you're gonna do is just kind of push it down to kind of give you a rough figure. You want a decent amount of this pin sticking through, and I especially want to do it just in case, you know, I do take this over a few bumps or dirt roads or an off-road trail or something like that. I don't want this to just rattle and pop out. Matter of fact, it's the beauty of the hinge that it comes with. But this, you know, if it sticks down far enough, I don't expect this thing to move because there really isn't that much movement. So all you're going to do is make sure you wire wheel or clean this up because this is like zinc coated, and I don't believe welds will adhere to that. As you can see, I started this already. All I'm going to do is weld all the way around it and then put a spot weld in at least one of those top 2 holes. That way the thing is completely sealed from water and won't rust in the future. Also, while you're at it, since you're here, you mark where the pin is once you're done and then drill a hole through the bumper. That way it has somewhere to go through. In the future, I'm going to look into doing some kind of rubber bushing or something like that so you don't hear a rattle noise. But in the meantime, a hole will do. I can always bore it out larger for, you know, a bushing. So I'm going to go do those 2 things. Bring you back. All right, guys, so here we are. I've welded the latch on. Despite the coating on there, it actually went on really, 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 really well. And a few more reallys in there. So did that, and I drilled. Yeah, the hole got a little off center. Turns out my bits aren't the best. I just needed to throw them out, get some new ones. Or I could spend the time sharpening, but considering how cheap they are, eh. So if we didn't have to reinforce the bumper, that would be it. A little coat of paint, bingo. But we're gonna have to reinforce this guy because the bumper really isn't strong enough because it's not one solid piece and wraps around. And I'll show that, see, I'll start leaning on it and you can see it just start to bend out. So what we're gonna do is take the bumper off. Now we're gonna go under here, and this applies to both sides. So on both sides, there's gonna be 2 bolts here, here, and then there, of course, there's gonna be that bolt there as well. You remove those and you should be able to take the bumper right off, no problem. Right, guys, so here real quick, I have the bumper off. If you had trouble getting the bolts off, which there's 4 you're gonna need to take off. So I only pointed out 3. There's a 4th right here that holds these brackets. Yeah, it'd be this hole right here. You wanna take that off. Once you've got everything on, all you do is kind of just pry these back and everything should come off. If I didn't pull these bolts off because it's actually just a carriage bolt from the other side, and once it gets too loose, it just spins and spins, and I didn't want to deal with it. So I just left those on. But they're, I believe it's a 21 millimeter, yep, that does all 4 of those bolts, so you won't have to change it up. If you have a hard time getting the bolts off, just break out some heat. This is one of these map gas things. It's a little kit you can buy from Home Depot or Lowe's. It is worth its weight in gold, platinum, whatever precious metal you deal in, because that is the only way you can get tough bolts off. So I'm going to put this up on the table, and we'll start game planning how to strengthen the inside. All right, guys, here, this is what I have for you. So, as you can see, I took a piece of the tube steel. This is 2x2. If you get something that's 1x2, and matter of fact, you can actually build most of this bumper with 1x2 as well. This will fit better because, as you can see, this thing won't go forward all the way. And I'm thinking what I might do is just notch this, because this is only to keep the bumper really from crinkling in so much when hit. And well, with this thing in here, I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. But as you can see, I've mitered it. And I mentioned earlier about how in machine shops they use a hole saw bit to miter. That's exactly what I did, and that's how I got that really nice perfect round miter. So all I'm going to do is weld all the way around here and then right here to this 1/4 inch steel here, and that's pretty much it for really stabilizing this thing. But that's it as far as strengthening. So I'm going to weld this all up, plop it back on the truck, bring you guys back. All right, guys, so here we are. It is all finished. Oh yeah, I think this thing is just too cool. And of course the reinforcement did work. So let's see how she operates here. So pull the pin, she swings out like that. And as you can see, it's, you know, you push down on it, the whole truck moves, not the bumper. You just put her back, pin, You are. All right, guys, so look, you can do this any which way you want. You don't have to mimic my design. You can change as much as you want. Looking back, I think I would probably use 2x1 box steel because I think that would just be enough. And yeah, I'm so happy with this. This is just so cool. So anyway, guys, you can get the spindle kit at EMS Off-Road. The box steel I got from Alro Steel, A-L-R-O. They do have an online website, but if you're from the northeast area of Philadelphia, you can actually just look them up online and find their address and go see them. So anyway, guys, that's all for me. Stevie from the Midmasters. Thanks for watching.